There's another Lost Bluey episode, one that almost no one dares to remember. It's called The House Across the Road. They say it aired once, very late at night, then it vanished. No records, no official listing, only whispers. The episode started like any normal day. Bluey and Bingo were playing outside. The sky was thick with clouds. The world looked pale and cold. Bandit called from the porch. Time to come inside. They ran toward their house, but something felt wrong. Across the road stood a house exactly like theirs. Same porch, same swing, same flowers, but no lights, no sounds, just emptiness. Bingo giggled. "Let's knock on the other house." She ran before Bluey could stop her. Bluey chased after. The closer they got, the colder the air grew. The door wasn't locked. It opened with a soft creak. Inside, silence. It was their house, and yet, not. The colors were drained. Photos on the walls were just empty frames. The air smelled of dust and wet stone. Bluey called out, "Hello." Her voice echoed too much, too long. Bingo tugged her paw. Maybe someone's upstairs. They climbed the stairs. Each step groaned under them. At the top, a long, narrow hallway. Identical, but wrong. All the doors were closed, except one, the bedroom door. Bluey peeked inside. 2 beds, 2 chairs, 2 scattered toys, and in the far corner, 2 figures. They looked like Bluey and Bingo, same colors, same shapes, but they were standing still, facing the wall, not moving, not breathing. Bingo whispered, "I want to go home." They turned to leave, but the door slammed shut. By itself. The house moaned, the floor creaked. Bluey grabbed Bingo's paw. They ran, down the hall, down the stairs, into the street. When they looked back, the house across the road was silent, empty, at their real house. Bandit and Chili waited, smiling, laughing. But Bluey paused. Something was wrong. Their smiles were too wide, their eyes too still. She glanced back one last time. The house across the road was gone, just weeds, dirt, an empty lot. That night, Bluey lay awake in her bed, listening. The real Bingo slept soundly beside her, but across the street in the dark, 2 small shapes stood, watching, waiting. The screen faded slowly to black. No music, no laughter, just the soft sound of footsteps, moving closer, or maybe never leaving at all. There's a Lost Bluey episode. Whispers call it Not Her Voice. It's one of those episodes you never find listed, only mentioned by those who watched late at night, when they shouldn't have. It started on a normal evening. Bluey and Bingo were getting ready for bed. Their parents tucked them in. Bandit said goodnight. Chili kissed their foreheads. The lights turned off. Soft footsteps faded down the hallway. Bluey lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft sounds of the night. Then she heard it. Her mother's voice. "Bluey, come here, sweetie." Bluey smiled, half asleep. She slipped out of bed and patted down the hallway. The house was dark, colder than usual. The voice called again, closer now. "Bluey, I'm waiting." Bluey turned the corner toward the living room. But there, standing at the end of the hall, was Chili, smiling, calm, holding a cup of tea. "What are you doing up, honey?" Bluey froze. The voice had come from the opposite direction, still calling her name, software urgent, wrong. Bluey looked back. The hallway behind her stretched longer than it should have. At the far end, the outline of her mother stood, but not quite right. The shoulders too slumped, the neck too stiff, the head tilted in an unnatural way. "Bluey, come here." The real Chili stepped forward. "Sweetheart, come to me, right now." Her voice shook just a little. Bluey didn't hesitate. She ran into Chili's arms. They turned together and hurried back to the bedroom. As Chili closed the door, Bluey heard it again. A slow scraping sound. Nails dragging along the hallway walls. Scratching. Following. That night Bluey slept in her parents' bed, sandwiched safely between Bandit and Chili. But long after the house went silent, she kept her eyes open, listening. Just before she drifted into uneasy sleep, she heard a whisper right against the window pane. "You chose the wrong one." The final frame showed the hallway once more, empty, silent. But if you watched closely and just for a second, the shadows seemed to move, reaching, stretching, waiting. The screen faded to black, no credits, no music, only the soft sound of breathing, too close to the microphone. There's a Bluey episode almost no one talks about, not because it's forgotten, but because those who have seen it wish they could forget. It's called The Closet Guest, and according to rumors it aired only once in the middle of the night, before vanishing completely. No official records, only fragments, and those who still remember what they saw. It started normally the way any Bluey episode would. Bluey and Bingo were laughing, throwing toys around their room. The golden light of sunset spilled lazily across the walls. But the camera lingered, just a little too long. On the corners where the light didn't reach, on the closet, on the door that wasn't fully shut. At one point Bingo joked, "Let's play hide and seek, I'll hide someone in the closet." She grabbed an old stuffed toy, tossed it inside and closed the door. When they finished playing, the closet door was open again, the toy was gone, and something subtle had changed. Later that night Bluey woke up. A soft, slow creak echoed through the room. She turned her head, heart pounding a little faster. The closet door was moving, opening wider, by itself. Bluey told herself it was just the wind, pulled the blanket over her head, and tried to pretend she hadn't seen it. The next morning she told Bingo. Bingo just laughed and said, "Maybe someone lives there now." All day Bluey felt it, that weight, that pressure, the feeling that something, or someone, was watching her. From the hallway, from the shadows, from the closet. She asked her parents if there could be a draft. Bandit smiled, ruffled her ears and said, "Old house, sweetheart. Houses creak, that's all." But that night the noises grew louder. Bluey woke again, this time to breathing, deep, slow, wrong. It wasn't Bingo, it wasn't Mom or Dad. It came from the closet. The door was wide open now, and deep in the darkness, something caught the light. Two small glinting dots, like eyes. Too low to belong to an adult, too high to be a toy. Bluey froze under her blanket, listened. The breathing grew closer, soft footsteps across the floor. A pause, and then a voice, strange, a little too high, a little too familiar. It whispered, "Don't be afraid, let's play." In the morning, Bluey tried to tell her parents. They just smiled too tightly and said it must have been a bad dream. No one mentioned it again. But over the next few days, Bluey changed. She spoke less, smiled less, stopped leaving her room unless she was called. And every time she sat down, her eyes, wide and unblinking, and stayed locked onto the closet door. In the last part of the episode, the family sat around the breakfast table. Normal conversation, normal laughter. But the camera ignored them. It pushed closer to Bluey. She sat perfectly still, her food untouched, her gaze empty. And just behind her at the very end of the hallway, the closet door. And for a fraction of a second, a tall crooked shadow slipped across it. The final scene showed Bluey's bedroom again. Nighttime, silent. Bingo slept peacefully. But Bluey sat across from the open closet staring deep into the void. And she whispered, "Now it's my turn to hide." The camera pulled back, slowly. The window behind them showed the dark street outside, still, abandoned. No movement, no sound. Just the faint, almost imperceptible creak of a door opening wider. And then, blackness, total silence.